are we on? Okay, we are. I know my colors are fucked up. I could fix it in post, but I probably won't. Okay, so Happy Death Day. I did not think I would actually end up spoiling this because I don't go see movies on opening day. There was a wedding on the weekend, so I didn't get to see it then. And Monday and Tuesday I'm in class, so I was thinking I'll probably miss the date to talk about this movie. But then the teachers went on strike. Got to see Happy Death Day. And on Discount Day. Love Discount Day. It's the best day of the week. Well, not really. Tuesdays kind of suck, but whatever. So yeah. You know, like, the premise of the movie, you know how every bitchy sorority girl dies in horror movies? Like, you know, Groundhog Day. It's just push them together. That's the movie. That's the movie. Yeah. Now, the good news is that there's not much to spoil here, because if you've seen the trailer for the movie, you've seen 90% of the movie. That's about right. Yeah. So there isn't much to say about it. I guess I can start at the beginning. I'll try not to get caught up in too many boring details. So our main character, Tree, yes, her name is Tree, Tree, I checked. Alright. She wakes up in some guy's dorm, guy's named Carter, and she's just like, yeah, shit, and it's her birthday, and she has to go back to her sorority house, and she's like, don't tell anyone this happened, fuck you, and blah, blah, blah. And then she leaves, and she's walking through the campus, and all these random shit happens, like somebody asks her to sign a thing, sprinklers go off, car alarm, guy falls over. She runs into a dude who, like, she went on a date with and didn't answer his calls after, because she's just, like, a bitch. She's a bitch. So she goes back to her sorority house, and gonna be honest, I don't know much about sororities, because I go to community college. Yeah, and then her roommate is like, hey, I made you this birthday cupcake, happy birthday. And she didn't want anyone to know it was her birthday because, like, her and her mom shared the same birthday, but her mom's dead now, so she's just like, I hate my birthday now. Which, you know what? Hashtag relatable, because my birthday this year was ruined by my grandmother dying during my birthday dinner. So, you know, I feel ya. I fucking feel ya. So, she's like, she runs off to class, and she like makes eyes at the teacher, and you're like, oh, he's gonna be important later. And then she goes to this lunch meeting that the sorority girls are doing, and the bitchy ass sorority leader Danielle is like picking on this one girl for having a fatty lunch, and I'm just like, oh, good diet jokes. And then Carter shows up again, and chocolate milk gets spilled on Tree, and he's returning her bracelet or something. And then she runs off to the hospital where her roommate works, and she's meeting up with her teacher, who is also a doctor at the hospital, which, you know, I guess that means she's a med student? I don't know. They never actually, like, mentioned her, like, they never actually mentioned really anything that she was learning. Like, I don't know what she was majoring in. Whatever, I guess it doesn't matter. So yeah, she's banging the teacher, but, then his wife shows up, and I'm just like, oh, you hoe bag. And then she runs off, and yeah. And, then later on that night, she's getting ready to go out, and her friend's like, yo, when are you coming to the party? And she's like, I don't know, later. And then the power goes out. That's kind of a big one. And then she gets ready to leave, and she walks past these guys. They've all got the baby face mask because it's the mascot of the university's football team. Am I getting that right? It's their mascot of some team that they have. Fuck it. And she walks down, like, some stairs outside. She goes under a bridge, and underneath the bridge is, like, a little wind-up toy that's, like, playing the happy birthday song, and she gets spooked out, and then the guy in the mask is behind her, and she yells at him and walks away, and then he tries to attack her, she runs, and she falls over, and he kills her. You know, for a slasher movie, there isn't a lot of blood in this, like, almost none at all. Like, every time she gets stabbed or, like, killed, it's like, stab, wake up. You don't ever see her actually really get injured all that much. There's not a lot of gore, which I thought was, like, kind of required for this sort of movie, but I guess not. I don't know. I don't really care. I'm not that big of a fan of gore, actually, but alright, fucking. So she wakes up, and it's all vague confusion. She's just like, I swear I've lived this day before. And then she ends up going to the party, and it's a total fake-out jump scare, because she opens the door, and there's a guy in the baby face mask there, and she's like, she screams and punches him, and it turns out it was just like a big-ass surprise party. Yeah. So they still have the party anyway, and then she gets invited to go upstairs to, like, a bedroom with this dude, and I'm just like, okay, ho, and you think they're about to do it, but then he turns on some music and just starts dancing, and she's just like, okay, never fucking mind. But then, out of nowhere, the dude in the babyface mask just, like, steps out of the closet and kills the guy, but she can't hear it because she's turned around texting somebody, and the music is really loud. And then she turns back around, she's like, and then the babyface guy attacks her, and she gets killed again. And then she wakes up again, and she's just like, dude, what the motherfuck? And, like, the next 2 days are just, like, vague confusion. She goes through the whole day again, just freaking the fuck out, and then when nighttime comes, she barricades herself in a room, like, she boards up the windows and shit, and she's like, try getting in now, motherfucker, and she's just sitting there, like, watching Teen Mom 2, and then there's, like, a really tense scene where she thinks they're in the bathroom or something. I don't really know how that worked out. Like, I don't really remember. But eventually, like, she just gets attacked and killed again. And then she wakes up and she's screaming, and Carter's like, dude, what the fuck? And she's just like, dude, this is fucking bullshit. And, like, they end up talking about it. And she, like, explains the whole thing to him. Like, they skip over that part, thank God. And he's like, okay, so you're dying over and over again. Maybe you just have to figure out who's killing you. And she's just like, okay, that sucks, but okay. And, yeah, she just decides to, like, she makes, like, a list of suspects, and it's not the guy that she, like, it's not the guy that she turned down for a second date. And, like, and she gets stabbed looking in his window. Like, not by him, it was by the killer. And then she's like, maybe it's the wife of the doctor that I'm having sex with. And then she stalks her, and no, it's not her, because she gets attacked and, like, drowned in a fountain or something. And she dyes her hair. Like, it's a big-ass montage. She walks through campus naked, just does a bunch of crazy shit. And then eventually she like keeps working through the list, and she keeps getting murdered over and over again. And she wakes up in the dorm room again, and she says to Carter, your plan sucks, and then she passes out. And she wakes up in the hospital, and the doctor guy is there, and he's just like, we looked at the scans, you've got a shitload of scar tissue, you should be dead. So it's like, oh my god, that shit where she gets killed is actually, like, physically affecting her. Which sucks, but, like, you know, I feel like there were so many better solutions to, like, okay, I'm sorry, like, I didn't think about this in the moment, and I thought about it a lot afterwards, but there are so many better solutions than just, like, stalking people. Just, like, go to a crowded area. Like, does the day still reset if she makes it to the next day and then dies? Like, fuck it. So she sneaks out of the hospital bed, and then she steals the doctor's car keys. She's about to leave, but then the doctor guy gets stabbed by the babyface dude, and, like, I don't know, I guess it was a shitty red herring, because she, like, opens up one of the drawers in his office, and he has the mask in there, and she's just like, oh my god, he's the killer, but he wasn't. He gets stabbed by the killer, so what the fuck was the babyface mask doing in his office? That's never addressed. And then she runs off into the car park, she avoids the murderer in a tense scene, she gets in the car and she drives away, and she's like, fuck it, I win. And then she gets pulled over by a cop. And she's like, you don't understand. Someone's trying to attack me. And then she's like, wait a minute. Would you arrest me if I told you I was drunk and, like, put me in a jail cell? And the police officer's like, yeah. And she's like, I'm drunk and high. Which is actually pretty funny. And then she gets arrested and put in the back of the cop car. And then the cop's about to, like, radio it in. And then he gets hit by a car. And the babyface guy, like, steps out of the car, and, like, I don't know what he did, but for some reason, the police car is now, like, dripping gasoline, and he goes back to his car and he drops a lit birthday candle into it, and the car explodes. And Tree dies again. It happened again, yeah. Like, man. So, I can't really remember what happened after that. There was a lot of deaths. Since it repeats over and over again, it gets mixed up in my brain. Yeah, but she wakes up and I think she talks to Carter again, and she's like, yo, I keep fucking dying, this sucks. And he's like, I don't believe you. And then she does that thing where, like, the sprinklers go off, car alarm, that guy falls over. And then they end up going to, like, a restaurant, like, I don't know, just some diner, I guess. And they talk about it, and he's just like, she explains, like, why she doesn't like her birthday and shit, and then he's like, well, maybe you could, like, use this as an opportunity to, like, become a better person. And then she's like, I keep getting weaker. I've got to figure this shit out fast. So maybe if I just become a good person and kill that guy, I can do it. And she decides to, like, run off to the hospital because she sees on the TV that this crazy murderer, hint, hint, has just been captured and is at the very hospital that she was at earlier because, like, he killed, like, a bunch of sorority girls across the country, and she's like, that's it, that's the guy. And then she runs off and she yells at the receptionist, she's like, call the police, he's gonna escape. And then she runs into the room, and there was a police officer that was guarding the room, but he's dead. And she tries to, like, fight against the murderer, but I don't know, he has a gun, and he chases after her down the hall, and she gets to the elevator and tries to take the elevator. I'm like, bitch, take the fucking stairs. And then he chases after her, he's about to shoot her, and then bam, Carter comes in, and he fucking body slams the guy, and Tree gets the gun, she's about to shoot him, but it's out of bullets, and then the murderer he snaps Carter's neck, which, I don't care how good of a murderer you are, it can't be that easy. But then she's like, fuck it, and runs away to, like, this old abandoned bell tower, and the guy follows her, and she, like, sneaks up behind him and whacks him with a crowbar, and she's like, yes, I can end this. But then she's like, wait, if I end this now, then Carter's gonna fucking die, because she's started to care about him over the past, like, I think it's like 2 weeks she gets killed for, I don't know. But then she's like, well, shit, I just gotta reset the day then. So she goes up to the top of the bell tower, and she ties a noose around her neck and jumps, and she dies again. And then she wakes up and she's like, okay, today we do things legit. She is really nice to everybody. She apologizes to her roommate for being such a bitch. she pours chocolate milk on Danielle because she was being a fucking bitch to that one girl at lunch, and then she kisses Carter and she's like, stop by my house later, we'll talk about this. And then at like 8:53 or something, she gets suited up. Like, she sets a timer on her watch for when the power goes out, and she grabs a knife, which she got from somewhere, and then she runs off to the hospital. She holds the cop that was like in front of his room not at gunpoint, at knife point, and she steals his gun, and she's like, go get help, and he runs away, and then she goes into the room to try to kill the guy. I can't help but feel there could have been a much easier solution for this. And she's about to shoot him, but the safety's on, and he, like, jumps out of the bed because he wasn't actually asleep, and he attacks her. They have a bit of a scuffle, and then she's lying on the floor, and he's about to stab her, but then timer goes off, power goes out, and then she's behind him, and she shoots him, and she wins. And I was like, okay, that was more complicated than it needed to be, but she did it. And I was thinking, okay, the movie's probably going to end soon, because, like, she's definitely going to end up going to jail for killing that guy and holding that cop at knife point. But I guess she ran away in time, because the next scene is just her in her bedroom with Carter, and then they've got the candle with the... They've got the cupcake with the candle in, and she's like, I wish for tomorrow. And I'm just like, bitch, what? Are you on the run from the cops? Like, whatever. And then she eats the cupcake, and then she wakes up the next morning in the dorm room again, and she's like, no, what the fuck? I killed him. What the fuck is this bullshit? And she runs off and, like, runs home, and she's like, she starts packing her shit up, and she's like, I gotta get the fuck out of here. And then her roommate, like, she comes up with the cupcake again, and she's like, I made you a cupcake for your birthday. And then it all clicks in Tree's mind. She's like, wait a minute. I died in my sleep, because this was the first time I actually ate the cupcake, because it's poisoned. And that was all part of her roommate's plan, because her roommate works at the hospital, and she had access to the murderer guy. She drugged him and put a mask on his face, and then she, like, set him free, and then she was like, she did that because then when she went to go kill Tree in her baby face mask, the suspicion would fall on the crazy murderer guy. Very convoluted. Like, I mean, my God, there's gotta be easier ways to poison your roommate. I'm not going to list them because I don't want to get arrested, but, like, there had to have been an easier solution. And then she's like, then they get into a fight because, like, Tree knows that she's trying to kill her, and her roommate, like, she reveals that the reason she tried to kill her was because she was in love with the doctor guy that Tree was having sex with, and, like, she's like, really, this was all over a guy? And then the roommate's like, no, you were a bitch too. And I'm like, oh, fuck it. And then they get into a fight, and Tree, like, stuffs the cupcake into the roommate's mouth and then shoves her out a window, and she dies. And there's this great line, like, the Danielle, she's like, what the fuck are you guys doing in there? And Tree's just like, that bitch ate my cupcake. And then I'm just like, okay, it'll probably end here, because that's kind of a good place to stop. But no, instead, it cuts back to the diner again, and she's having, like, dinner or something with Carter, and she's explained the whole thing to him, and he's like, and, like, I don't care if it was in self-defense. She fucking murdered someone. She murdered that girl. Shouldn't she be in police custody, or at least getting questioned right now? Like, they're watching the news report on what happened on TV in the diner, and, like, I'm just like, bitch, you should be at the police station right now. What the hell? And then Carter's just like, it kind of sounds like this was all like Groundhog's Day. And she's like, what the fuck is Groundhog's Day? And I'm like, bitch, what the fuck? And then he's like, you know, with Bill Murray. And she's like, who's Bill Murray? And I'm like, bitch, are you fucking serious? Like, come on, are you a human being? And then it all fades out, and I'm like, is that where it's going to end? And then she wakes up again in the dorm room, because her room at the sorority house is now a crime scene. And Like, she wakes up and it's all the same thing because Carter's just like, you had a lot to drink last night? And she's like, no fucking way. And he's like, gotcha. And I'm just like, really? Because how much of a, like, it would have been confusing, but it would have been interesting if, like, it wasn't even, like, connected to her dying at all. She's just trapped in the same day over and over again for no reason. That'd be at least kind of fun. But, you know, it's a happy ending. She gets the guy. She gets to live. Her life is better. And she's not a horrible person anymore. So, yeah, I guess, like, you know, I'm a fan of a good happy ending, you know? Like, why do you think I hated V3's ending so much? But, I don't know, it just seems like this was a horror movie, right? Like, well, actually, for a horror movie, it's not all that scary, but, like, I don't know, maybe something different. That bitch should, like, at least be getting questioned by the police. She killed someone. I don't know. It wasn't a bad movie. Not upset that I spent money on it, but, you know, maybe if you're gonna see it, wait for Netflix, perhaps. It'll probably be on Netflix. I don't know. I don't know. It's not really worth seeing in theaters. It's not great, but, you know, it's good enough. Like, I heard some, like, bad shit about this movie because, like, just because of its premise and just the things that happen in it. Like, if you question it, then none of it makes sense, because there are way better ways she could have handled this shit, like, just stay in a crowded place. If she gets to the next day without getting murdered, is the curse broken? And is her roommate still gonna try to kill her? Because that would be super fucking obvious. But, yeah. I don't know. I can get sucked into a movie's reality really easy, so that's, like, how I can just, like, how I was able to enjoy the movie without really asking too many questions. But if you think about it for too long, none of it makes sense. Like, really, bitch, just go to a populated area. Like, seriously. Or at the very least, she could have tried a bit harder to rip the mask off of the killer's face, so then she could be like, oh shit, it's my roommate. Now I get it. I don't know, anything. I don't know. I think we're done. Let me just check that. Oh, that's a really long video. Oh, this was a mistake. Whatever. No one's gonna watch this. Yeah. Guess I'll just go enjoy not having an education for the next couple of weeks. Hope that strike gets resolved. Maybe work on a new review for V3. Because that's gonna have to happen, I guess. Yeah. Not a great movie. Not terrible. Decent. Kind of fun. Yeah.